ladies fans, to another presentation on the Kenyon Sports Connection. Today we preview the Kenyon College football team, and joining us today is second-year head coach Coach Monfiletto. Coach, last year was a remarkable year. You're riding off of the high of a 6-4 season, and it more importantly began a culture change of Kenyon Lords football. And you got the win just in the second game of the season and rode a great wave from there. Tell us how much of last year's momentum can be transferred into this year.
Well, I hope that our guys are hungry after the last game of the season. I mean, I appreciate you saying it was remarkable and everything like that, but I don't know that our guys look at it as a remarkable season, which is great. I mean, we were a little bit above 500, and we got lucky in a couple of games, and we ended up 6-4. But I think we raised the expectation level a little bit, but I don't know if that was remarkable. I think that's something that we anticipated we were going to do before the season started. So, I think that our guys are hungry, and that momentum should certainly carry over, I would hope, into camp and into the preseason.
And you're going to have a lot of hungry guys back, but it's going to be a little bit of a challenge considering that a lot of the firepower from last year's team is lost. Starting quarterback, tailback, and wide receiver have gone and graduated. But tell us about some of the new offensive weapons that are going to be key contributors to this year's team.
Sure, that's a great question. I mean, I don't know how you replace a 3-year starter at quarterback. That's going to be a really tough position to fill, and there will be a little bit of a competition in the beginning of camp to find out who comes out on top. And we'll go into the first game confident in whoever that is. At tailback, Casey Baudouin and Brandon January returned. They got carries last year, not a significant amount because Brett carried most of the load, but we're looking forward to them. They had a great offseason in the weight room and on the practice field and that sort of thing. So we look for them to contribute. And then at receiver, Jake Janikowski's back, Nick Asparo's back, and then we addressed our needs at receiver and recruiting. So it's going to be a freshman that fills that third receiver role most likely. We'll see after the preseason.
And on the other side of the ball, last year's defensive coordinator, Greg Jones, has gone on and taken another position, but insert new defensive mastermind, Meade Clendaniel. Talk about what some of the either changes or philosophy will be going into the 2013 campaign.
Well, we're really lucky to have Coach Monfiletto. He has a ton of experience at great academic schools that are just like Kenyon, and I think his approach to how he interacts with the players on the team and things like that is not going to be much different than where he's been in the past. So, we're really, really excited about having him on board. And the one thing that I've learned, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we were pretty good defensively, schematically last year, and I don't anticipate much is going to change from where we were. So.
And last year, linebacker Colin Sullivan was a huge part of that defensive improvement. He's gained a lot of preseason attention already with a couple preseason All-America honors. And that all a part of a defense that nearly half the points allowed for the previous season. So talk about how much of that defense revolves around him and how important he is.
Colin's important because he's a member of our team, but aside from that, I don't think the defense revolves around him whatsoever. I mean, everybody on our defense is important, and I don't think that Colin really likes getting the accolades that he gets. He wants to prove it, and that's what makes him such a special player. He's going to be involved a ton because of his skill level and the fact that he started for 3 years and he's come from a really good program in St. Ignatius. But other than that, we expect him to be a leader and to do things right all the time.
And a lot of those other pieces coming back on the defensive side of the ball are going to be very young. You return a lot of your defensive linemen and fellow linebackers, but talk about some of the holes that are going to be filled along the defensive front as well as in the backfield.
Yeah, well, we have a couple seniors that will be back on the defensive line, which will be nice. And we have 3 linebackers that have played a significant amount of time. And we actually have a little bit of depth because Nick LaPointe played a ton of special teams for us last year as a freshman. And David Espy, obviously, as a senior, was the special teams player of the year for our team. And we should be able to rotate those guys in some and be able to be pretty solid schematically. I feel great about where we're at from a defensive standpoint, just because of our experience there and the fact that those guys, they come to practice to play every day. They're excited to be here, and I think they have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth from what happened last year.
And for those listening on the audio section of this interview, this is second-year head coach Coach Monfiletto. And for those of you that are joining us on the Kenyon Sports Connection, we welcome you to the football preview of the 2013 season. Coach, now on to the schedule. As many know that with success comes a few extra challenges in this year's schedule, and you have a pair of nationally ranked teams in that schedule this year in Wittenberg and DePauw. So when you look out at the teams that are out on the horizon, what do you see from your perspective?
Well, we have a great schedule this year. I mean, we have 3 teams that got votes in the top 25 in our conference, and we didn't play 2 of those teams last year. We have a chance to play 1 away at Wabash and 1 at home against Wittenberg, against 2 of the best teams in the country, and that's awesome. I'm excited that we're in a position to, to be able to play those guys and to be competitive, we hope, with them. So, if you want to sink big ships, you got to go where the water's deep, and that's kind of where we are with our schedule this year. And we'll see how it all pans out. But we're really just focused on the first game.
And that first game is against Allegheny on September 7th. When you look at that game, as I'm sure that you and the entire coaching staff has for some time now, what is it that you expect out of the Gators and your team?
Well, the Gators they're really multiple defensively. Coach Matlack does an unbelievable job. He's a great coach, and he's been really good to our program since I came on board. So, they're going to be a hard-nosed team. They have a lot of tradition. It's going to be tough to go to their place in the first game of the season and play a conference game. So we have our work cut out for us, obviously, in that first game of the season. We'll see how everything plans out. Hopefully we'll be able to compete a lot in the preseason and be ready for it.
And as you have talked about all the new faces that will be entering the program, some of those that have departed today's schedule, last year's season, many defined as success. You alluded that it may not have been a success, but an expectation. So this year, year number 2 for you, what defines success for you in the Lords?
If we continually get better throughout the course of the season, we'll be successful. And that's what we kind of preach every day. We want to win. Win the day is kind of a cliche, but we want to go 1-0 every single opportunity that we have to play football together, or to work out together, or to condition together, or whatever that is. So if we can continually get better throughout the course of the year and we can stay healthy, then we'll be successful.
Well, Coach Monfiletto, we wish you and the Lords best of luck this season. Keep getting the juice hot as you go through the preseason. Remember that first game, Lords fans, is September 7th against the Allegheny Gators. That is in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Be sure to watch it on the Kenyon Sports Connection, powered by Stretch Internet. And be sure to also follow us on Facebook at Kenyon College Athletics. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at Kenyon Sports, online at athletics.kenyon.edu. For second-year head coach Chris Monfiletto, I'm Ryan Gasser. Thanks for watching on the Kenyon Sports Connection.